Today we got 10 Replaymod tips for you, and hopefully after you hear them, you'll be a Replaymod pro yourself. What is going on, guys? My name is Ike and welcome to this video. If this is your first time here and you're looking for ideas and tutorials to help you survive and thrive in Minecraft, start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking that notification bell, because I make all sorts of Minecraft related content and I've got you covered. Tip number one for today is to add more RAM to your Replaymod profile. So your Fabric Loader 1.14.4 or whichever version you're in, we're going to go ahead and click that. This will open the Edit Installations menu, and then we're going to click More Options. When we click More Options, we'll get the JVN arguments down here on the right, and you should see -XMX1G. Now we're set by default, that's 1 GB of RAM allocated. And I'm gonna up mine to 16 because I have 32 GB of RAM. So I'm gonna divide my RAM by 2 and allocate that to this program. That'll make it run much nicer. Now, if you don't know how to find out how much RAM you have, right click on your desktop, come down here to display settings. Now, of course, this is Windows 10 that I'm using. And then down here, it'll say about. Your device specifications right here says installed RAM, 32 GB, so half of that is 16, so that's what I installed. Tip number 2 would be to use the M key, and because I've got Matica on it, we'll also pull that up, but as you can see in the bottom left there, it pulls up an event marker, and then we can tell exactly where we place these stairs in our time lapse when we open it up. And when we open it up in the replay viewer, as you guys can see here, we've got these actual red dots where we've marked events, and that way we can quickly go right to what we did. And this one should be where we place the stairs on the chimney. And just as we see we're there, right, fixing to do it. Let's hit play. Stairs out. Speed that up a little bit and go the stairs. So yeah, use them to mark your events. It'll help you know how to navigate around your timeline much quicker. Tip number 3, when setting up your camera path, select on your camera path timeline a location, your time frame, and then you can double click the time frame here, and we can actually change the time index, which the time index is the time which is marked on the actual replay timeline. So the replay timeline being the top one, we know that the end of it is 39:09. So we can actually, even though this is set to 1 minute and 1 second and all that, we can actually set it to the very end of the timeline without clicking on it, and it'll actually speed up the process because we don't have to wait for it to render. So now the bottom one also, use the same thing here to sync the timeline exactly to precise amounts, because like you seen, I was on 1 minute and 53 milliseconds. So now we're actually set to this being at 39:09 in 1 minute, and then we can just add a position keyframe and start our timeline here. And we have one going, but obviously our timeline isn't set up yet. But as you can tell, we're already speeding through here because we were able to adjust that without ever clicking on this. Well, tip number 4 would be, if you do happen to forget to light up your area, you can always hit Z to toggle on night vision, and that will actually go over into your render. So yeah, light up your areas, or remember to hit Z, or you can even do what I normally do and hack my gamma, but I will teach you guys how to do that in another video. Tip number 5 would be actually to adjust your FOV for better cinematics in the Replaymod. This is normal mode, and then if we adjust our FOV down to say 35, 38, something like that, you decide. Then we have something that looks A little more zoomed in, a little more close up, and a lot smoother. To make your time lapses smoother, consider using the Lightmatica mod. You can actually build a build in a creative world, save it to a file, and then you can upload it into any world you want. And you can even render these things in the world one layer at a time. Done with that layer, you go to this one, then 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 this one. Until you have a completely built build. When you're doing creative time-lapse builds, it's a lot more helpful to build a palette like this, and so instead of fiddling through the inventory all the time, you have selected out what you might want to use, and then you can simply right click on it, you know, and add it in your build however you might use it. The next tip would to be add a little bit of a cinematic roll into the camera. We can do this by pressing L or J while we're setting up the camera path. Next tip number 9, is to add shaders and resource packs in the replay post recording. This will help the game run better while you're recording it, reducing any lag that it could cause. So video settings, shaders, and let's do the CUDA. When setting up your camera replay path, make sure to space out your position keyframes at least 10 seconds apart here, or even more, to make a smoother, slower transition. This is going to give you a better quality video, and it also allows you to speed up the video in your editor if it just happens to be too fast, or to even match up with a song. And for a bonus tip here at the end, if you really want your desktop audio for your game sounds, just record the replay path, just like the preview that we're looking at right now. Just record it in your recording software, and then just match that up with your render, because it should be the same length, and just trim off the ends.